Test, test.
Where'd Rob? Can you go out there and talk into that?
Test, 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 test. Yeah. Come on. Come on. Oh. Hey, Rob. Sure. Yeah, sure. Hey, how you doing? Really? Yeah. Can you go ask Mike and Jeanette who they wanted to watch this because there's a new link because of so it needs to be sent. Did you mic up? I need you guys to mic up. Yeah, we will.
Did she extend her? She writes some more?
Sherry, can I get you to just step this way for 1 sec? I just want to make sure I can get the podium. There we go. No worries. I just want to make sure I can get like the podium in. Perfect. Okay.
Are you doing a live stream?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm never doing it again. I'm never gonna do it again after this. Okay. Yeah. Is there anybody else in this room that needs that like new address? I gave it to Jody. I sent it to Jeanette, but I sent it to her like Facebook Messenger. Okay. Where's the mics?
There's 2 pink ones.
Can we just do that in a second?
I don't want to lose them, and they have to stay connected.
Yeah. Can we just do it in a second?
I'll put a water bottle there for you. Can everybody hear me? Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to celebrate the life of our dad, Murray. I know he would be touched that so many of his loved ones were able to make it. We're extremely grateful for all of you. A couple of programming notes. First, we're streaming this celebration online for folks who aren't able to make it. So we have a few mics that we'll be using to pass around, or that we'll be using to ensure that we'll be able to hear. Nick will be monitoring the stream, so if suddenly she runs back, that's all about, or she has to pee. Second, the pamphlet doesn't have an agenda. I'll go over the agenda now so that everyone knows what we're planning. As an introduction, our goal this afternoon is to attempt to recreate one of our best memories with our dad. For those that don't know, Dad was an alcoholic. He had a relationship with the recovery center in Calgary called Recovery Acres, better known as 1835 House. Having operated for over 50 years, 1835 House has over 1,800 plaques celebrating a year of sobriety for residents of the house. They provide free treatment for residents program through a combination of provincial funding and donations. At 1835, they hold alumni nights every Wednesday and birthday nights once a month. Birthday nights are a celebration for 1 year sobriety for folks who attain sobriety that month. It was always wonderful to see folks coming back year after year. For years, Rob and I went to alumni and birthday nights with Dad on Wednesdays. It's where, as adults, we made some of our most important memories. The format of the birthday night is dinner and conversation with alumni and guests. The birthday meeting, where each person's accomplishment is celebrated by a loved one. Coffee and cake will end more conversation. Our attempt to replicate this will follow this schedule. Jesse will perform a reading from the AA book called How It Works. This is a traditional reading at AA meetings. Rob and I will tell Dad's story, and we will have a moment of silence to remember those that are suffering. And finally, we will invite you to join us in our reading of the Serenity Prayer. Lastly, one of the most healing times of the last month we were visiting Dad in the hospital was when a few of us standing around Dad's bed late at night telling Dad's favorite memories. After the Serenity Prayer, we will invite you to share your favorite Murray story. We would be extremely grateful to anyone who participates. Following stories, we would love for you to join us in having coffee and cake to celebrate Dad's life. All right, let's get started. Jesse, can you please come up and read how it works? Next one. Oh. Then you have to reach in.
Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm Mary's stepson, and this is how it works from Alcoholics Anonymous. Excuse me if I cry. Okay, thanks. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault, they seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you've decided you want what we have, If you've decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the excuse me. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We served the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which were suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we are alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought. Thanks. I made it.
Okay. No. Thanks, Jesse. It's a long passage. I will say that usually at 1835, the person they have read that is the newest person who comes to the house, who's still a bit shaky and has never had to talk in front of people or share their feelings or anything like that. So it's sort of a rite of passage, and it almost always goes that way. All right. So born on January 12th, 1960, Dad grew up in a modest house with a large family. Our grandparents were incredibly hardworking people, a trait passed down through generations, and something Dad took immense pride in. While he was close with all his brothers and sisters, he shared an unbreakable bond with his older brother Ken. They grew up in a small house on the south side of the tracks in Weyburn, and as kids, they were completely inseparable. Growing up, Dad loved baseball, fishing, and biking. He and Ken would head down to the Souris River to catch minnows and bring home fish for the family dinner. Ken was a protective older brother. They even joined cadets together, once returning from a summer camp in Vernon so thoroughly exhausted that Susan said they slept for the entire drive back to Weyburn. Dad was also a phenomenal baseball player. In his 20s, he used to claim that he could throw a ball from the back corner of left field and beat a runner at from third base with a throw that literally curved around the runner and straight into the catcher's glove. He was always modest about it, though. He'd quickly add that he could only pull that off when he was framing houses all day. One summer, he and Ken spent time in the backyard with their friends rebuilding their dad's old 1960s Buick. It eventually became their ride to school. Their friends would scrounge together a single dollar for gas, as one put it. Back then, a dollar bought a decent amount of fuel, but those old steel body tanks would guzzle the entire dollar just getting back and forth from school. Dad attended St. Dominic Savio for elementary school, St. Michael's for junior high, and Leyburn Comp for high school. His friends back then were Brett Clark, Miles Ferguson, Mark Tremblay, who passed away several years ago, Kelly Bowles, Shelley and Rick Hopkins, and Steve Schultz, who sadly passed away recently as well. Dad met Mom in high school. Dad started out working with Mom's dad, Norm, before moving on to work with a notoriously strict German carpenter, Norm knew. Later, he worked with Larry Olfert. He and Larry, along with Larry's wife, Judy, became great friends, playing on the same slow pitch alongside Mike. When he was doing his 2 months of schooling for carpentry each year, he traveled to Moose Jaw. When he went to school for the first few years, he stayed in a boarding house, but for the last year, Mom joined him in a small rented house. This was the first time they'd lived together. Mom remembers their very first meal there, hamburger helper. In 1984, I was born. When Dad was young, he had a bad habit of hurting himself, whether on the job site or just puttering around the garage. The story most of you know is the time he literally blew himself up. I heard him tell this story at 1835 at least 5 times. If he were here today, he'd insist that we tell it. So here goes. On New Year's Eve in 1985, Dad was building a house on a reserve north of Regina. It was a brutal Saskatchewan December, so they were using propane torches to heat the house while they worked. When they knocked off to go party for the evening, the torches were somehow left on, or the flames went out while the tanks remained open. Because propane is heavier than air, the basement filled with gas overnight. The next morning, Dad walked into the house feeling a bit sluggish and groggy for some reason. Not realizing that anything was wrong, he casually lit a cigarette and tossed a live match down a sleeve that led straight to the basement. The house exploded with him inside. Dad was launched 10 feet into the air, fell through the floorboards, and landed in the basement. By sheer luck, a perfect cage formed around him. One pallet landed on his left, one pallet landed on his right, and a third spanned across the top of them. Then the rest of the house collapsed right on top. He survived by a miracle. He suffered a bruised spinal cord and temporary paralysis, leaving with chronic back pain the rest of his life. He didn't mention his back pain much, but if he sat still for too long, it flared up, which explains why he was always moving. To cap off an already unforgettable day, his niece and nephew, Jody and Neil, were born later that afternoon.
Not long after another infamous incident, Dad was renovating the house and watching Rob while Mom was at work. He was using a fancy new nail gun long before they put modern safety restrictions on him, and he managed to shoot a nail clean through into his calf. Being Dad, he wasn't about to do anything crazy like call an ambulance. He needed to get to the hospital, so he gathered up Rob to get to the truck. Seeing his dad hopping frantically up and down the stairs on one leg, toddler Rob thought it was a fantastic new game. You can cue the mental image of yakety sax playing in the background as Dad, with the framing nail sticking out of his leg, had to chase a giggling Rob up and down the stairs. In 1987, I was born. After attending the 1988 Olympics, the family packed up and moved to Calgary in 1989. Dad always remembered that time, that move as the time Rob threw up in the moving van's door pocket. The following year, Dad went to SAIT to get his diploma in architectural technology. Even with 2 toddlers running around the house, he excelled. He absolutely loved his math classes, even when they when they challenged him. We remember him spending late nights at his desk drawing diagrams. 1991, we took a 2-week family road trip to California to visit Disneyland, San Diego, and Tijuana. Naturally, Rob threw up in the rental car office immediately. We also quickly learned that 1990s Tijuana was not the ideal vacation spot for small children. By 1992, Dad started working as a carpenter at a maintenance depot at ACO, which allowed them to buy their first home in Midnaport. He was quickly promoted from seasonal to full-time, where he was so fortunate to grow up in a neighborhood, or we were so fortunate to grow up in that neighborhood. Because Midnaport is a lake community with a lake stocked with fish. We routinely went down to catch rainbow trout using Velveeta cheese as bait. In fact, as a kid, we legitimately thought Velveeta cheese was called fish cheese. Rob was embarrassingly old when someone finally corrected him. Baseball remained a massive family passion. Both of us played baseball growing up, and we spent countless weekends watching Mom and Dad play softball. During downtimes of their games, we played catch with Dad, but when you played catch with him, it was always full speed. He was forever coaching, motivating, and always genuinely excited to see you do better than you ever thought you could. In the mid-1990s, Mom and Dad separated. This is a period when Dad first became a resident at 1835 House. While it was a residential treatment facility, it was designed in part to allow fathers to have visits with their kids. We spent many afternoons in a room fondly known as God's room. It had a distinct, cozy 1970s den feel, and it holds a permanent sacred place in our core memories. After leaving the facility, Dad rented a place in Millrise with a roommate who owned an old white limousine and loved giving us rides in it. Not long after, Dad met Rochelle. Rochelle brought her three sons, Stephen, John, and Sean, and their daughter Claire into his life. Dad and Rochelle married in a beautiful little church in Okotoks. This was the first time that Dad bought his home in Buena Vista. Claire lived with them as well. Claire fully embraced Dad's passion for baseball. He proudly coached her team, which often played at the diamond right across from their home. Rochelle was a kindergarten teacher at a French immersion school, which I think was every bit as exhausting as it sounds. But her true passion was art, a love she shared deeply with him. One of the greatest gifts Dad's ever built was a custom art studio alongside the garage. It was a heated sanctuary with a kitchenette and a half bath, and a perfect place for Rochelle to paint. During these years, Dad's own enthusiasm for art and aesthetics blossomed. He learned how to create stained glass, carved soapstone, and took on countless vibrant, colorful projects. Unfortunately, Dad continued to struggle with alcoholism, which eventually led him and Rochelle splitting up. He returned to 1835 and completely immersed himself in AA. This is when we started attending alumni and birthday meetings with him. The community there meant the world to him. We still vividly remember the on-site chefs. When we first started going, the chef was a grumpy Navy veteran whose single mission was to put meat on the bones of the residents. It was standard hearty fare, roast beef, pork, or chicken, and it was delicious. When he retired, they hired a Jamaican woman whose style was a polar opposite. Suddenly, the dining hall was filled with curries, Jamaican meat patties. It was delicious.
Eventually, Dad was introduced to Kim by her son Jesse. Jesse had known Claire when they were kids, and after running into Dad years later, he played matchmaker and set them up on a date. Life with Kim brought a beautiful new chapter, one that included a tiny three-legged rescue puppy named Angel. As the story goes, Kim started looking at dogs without telling Dad and found this adorable 5-week-old pup through ARF. She fell in love instantly. Dad, trying to maintain his tough exterior, pretended he wasn't a dog person. But anyone who knew him saw right through the act. When it came time to apply for the adoption, Dad quietly suggested they enlist his ex-wife as a reference because she was highly respected within the rescue network. He knew that recommendation would seal the deal. It worked. Despite all his grumbling about not wanting a dog, Angel quickly became his shadow. He took her absolutely everywhere, just as he'd done with his previous dog, Magoo. He loved taking her on long walks and watching her swim in the river. Years later, when Dad started wintering in Mexico, he needed a permanent home for Angel. Now, anyone who knows my wife, Nick, knows that the second she found out that Angel needed a home, my fate was sealed. I remember sitting through a 3-hour conversation with Dad where I had to convince him that I was the one who really wanted the dog. Even though we both knew that Nick was already completely head over heels. Today, Angel goes everywhere with Nick. It's a small story, but it captures the essence of who Dad was. Beneath the tough guy facade and the occasional stubborn streak was a man who cared with his whole heart. Whether it was his family, his friends, or a 3-legged rescue dog, he just wanted to make sure the people he loved were going to be okay. Eventually, he and Kim separated, and Dad met his best friend and partner, Charlotte, at an AA motorcycle ride in Kelowna. He initially annoyed her by playing the exact same song on repeat until she yelled at him. But he quickly won her over with that signature Murray charm. Charlotte was living in Edmonton at the time, but Dad persistently pestered her until she finally moved down to Calgary. Charlotte's a roving spirit who loves being on the road and making new friends, but no matter how far they traveled, they always came back together, sharing a deep love for the outdoors, gardening, and endless renovation projects. At least that's what it seemed to be what they were doing every time I was over. For his final 10 years at ATCO, Dad moved up to the head office, taking charge of facility operations for all ATCO buildings across Alberta. He managed HVAC installation projects, snow removal contracts, major renovations, and the daily maintenance teams. He was a master at connecting with people. At his 30-year ATCO retirement celebration at Spruce Meadows, we found ourselves sitting directly with the billionaire CEO of the company and her family, including her 80-year-old mother, who happily regaled us with stories about learning to ride a motorcycle in her 80s. That invitation wasn't a corporate obligation. It was the direct result of Dad's genuine ability to build meaningful relationships with people from every walk of life. As a beautiful final tribute to his career, Dad sold a handcrafted wooden canoe he had built entirely by hand to ATCO. Today, it hangs as a beautiful art piece in the atrium of the Blue Flame Kitchen, which is in the main ATCO building, reflecting the building's architecture.
Dad retired in early 2022 to ensure that he could fully experience his retirement years. After a wonderful send-off party, he and Char began spending their winters in Mexico. He enjoyed Mexico so much that he obtained his permanent residency. He traveled all over, but they always anchored themselves in Bucerias, a beautiful small town just down the road from Puerto Vallarta. He made friendships, went hiking, fished, and enjoyed his time. Char told us a beautiful story from their time there. One morning it started to rain, and Char suggested that they set up a tent on the beach just to sit underneath it and watch the storms. Setting up a tent purely to experience the weather was not something he had done before, but they went down and set it up anyway. Standing there, Dad became completely mesmerized. Saskatchewan had incredible lightning storms, but the rain is never warm. Feeling that warm tropical rain wash over him, he decided he needed to experience it completely. He stripped down to absolutely nothing and started dancing in the rain on the beach. He enthusiastically invited Char to join him, though she declined. When he came back north for the summers, the adventures didn't stop. He and Char road tripped all the way to Yellowknife to explore her hometown. and he bought a trailer so that they could spend their days roaming the West, frequently stopping in to visit family back home in Saskatchewan. Dad was caring and generous, always meeting people where they're at. He loved connecting over coffee, storytelling, and meaningful conversations. He brought humor and kindness to his relationships and enthusiastically supported causes important to his loved ones. Dad passed away on the morning of June 9th from complications stemming from an abdominal aortic aneurysm and a meningitis infection. In true fashion, somehow managing to have two very dangerous but completely separate illnesses at the same time. He was surrounded by loved ones.
Thank you for listening. This is a very high-level summary of Dad's life. If we covered everything in detail, it would have taken hours. But we hope we did justice to a man who had a long life touching people of all walks of life, and who gave his time generously to help those around him. In honor of him, please join me in a moment of silence, followed by a reading of the Serenity Prayer. You can find the Serenity Prayer located on the back of the memorial pamphlet. Let's have a moment of silence to remember those who are not in active recovery, those who didn't make it, and those who are still struggling. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you. Now we'd like to invite you to join us in sharing your favorite Murray stories. If you want to come up to the front, that's fine. Otherwise, if you're fine sitting where you are and telling your story, that's fine. The room's pretty small, so we can project. If you throw up a hand, one of us will come over with a mic so that the folks watching on the stream can hear your stories. Yep. We can do both.
Hello, I'm still Jesse. I don't know if this is... Hi, I'm Jesse. My mom and biological father split up when I was 2. Growing up, as normal kids do, I'd go to the lake or to the swimming pools or whatever, but I never knew how to swim, and I'd always make a joke that my dad left, so nobody ever taught me how to swim. And one Christmas, I remember it had been a conversation that Murray also didn't know how to swim, and my mom got us swimming lessons together. And so that was pretty special to be able to learn how to swim with my dad, so I can't really say that anymore. Even though I didn't really learn how to swim, I think we spent more time talking and joking around, because I would be screwed if I ended up in the water. But quite emotional today. Murray always accepted me as I was. He did a lot for me and my mom. As you all know, he's just a really kind, wonderful man. And I'm gonna miss it a lot. So, thank you.
Give me the mic.
I won't be able to use this one. I got a message from an old friend of Maurice, and I think the boys mentioned, there was Brett and Rick and myself, Kelly. So I want to read this for Brett. Yeah, the most memorable for me was that even though we went through the Catholic school system, many of us on the Hill, and that would be in Weyburn, hung with the Catholics. I didn't know there was a separation, but I guess Brett figured there was. So it was never a big deal. On our bikes, raiding gardens. Is it Seaweed? It's Seaweed, okay. Had the most awesome carrots and peas patch. But that ended when we got caught. One night, and we ran like Olympians. That night, jumping fences, down alleys, and Officer Peters from Weyburn City Police was driving around looking for them. That night, trying to find where they were. We made it all the way to River Park and hid for an hour and got away. And trying to ride our bikes up that Honda trails beside Mount St. Mary's was always interesting. During the summer breaks, we would do these things as well as hang out in front of the South Hill Corner Store on 3rd Street. Corner stores are great, eh? Yeah. They don't have those anymore. They're all 7-Elevens. I think at one point when I was delivering the Regina Leader Post on the Hill, Murray may have delivered it as well. Anybody remember Murray delivering papers? I'm not sure. So that was before my time. Can't remember for sure. You would have to confirm that one with his family. I tried that. So then, of course, we all ended up at the comp. The rest is history. That we all share memories, but for me, it was us prairie kids from South Hill that ruled the world. We were not innocent, but we were not bad either. Just kids being kids. Murray with his ever-present shit-eating smile, with the rest of our gang network that thought we ruled the world from South Hill. Until we got into shit with our parents, of course. Your boys need to know that he was always a likable, steady guy. That he was a bit quieter than most, but always there and never mean to anyone. I think he was quiet because he's always thinking. You know, he always had something going on. I have not seen or spoke to him since around 1992 when I was in Lethbridge, and I really felt sad that we never reconnected. Life went on, and now just memories will not forget him. So I guess that's why we're doing this right now, is to remember Murray. So that's from Brett. Now you guys just reminded me of something. When he went to Saskatchewan Technical Institute, I roomed with Murray, and there was this house. There's no way that nowadays you could have that many people in this little house. And the lady there made the worst food, but that's all you got. So you just slept on these little tiny beds that were just like a thin little mattress. I'm sure that the health department would have shut her down, probably for the food. So we would scrounge up money and try to find some place to go and eat that was, you know, how do you make this stuff with no taste? I think hospital food would have been better. So had a lot of memories camping with Murray. Every year we'd go to Cyprus and we'd have the people from Alberta, from Calgary and Edmonton, and the people from Saskatoon and Weyburn, and we'd all meet in the middle. And it was a lot of fun. So we'd play ball, and we'd always get a part of the campground that it wasn't in the campground. It was just out in the bush. And there would be, you remember that one there? Yeah. And so, and as we grew up and people got married and had kids, we'd bring our kids, and we did that for years until it just petered out, and that was every August long. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. When Murray was just living in, camping continued, and mutual friends' parents was selling a trailer. I think it was like a 12-foot trailer, and it was old, but it was what they could afford at the time, just coming out of school and whatnot. And so Pat and I went and scouted out a great spot at Dog Pound. Yeah, see, you're just remembering it now too. So you know where I'm going. Yeah. So Murray just had a two-wheel drive truck. It was an old Atco truck, and we just had a great long weekend out there playing ball and camping, and so it was time to go, and it was pouring, and we had to get up this hill, and with two-wheel drive truck towing a trailer, Murray wasn't having a very good day. So that was just the start. That was the morning that we were leaving. So we're all pushing Murray's truck, pulling this trailer up this hill. We're all covered in mud. Finally, we get the truck up there and thinking, okay, well, we'll put that behind us. Well, no, he had to stop and empty the septic, and he hadn't done this yet. So anyways, we were in this small town between Dog Pound and Calgary, and Murray's trying to figure out how to, put the hose on and pull the lever, and which one was the gray water and which one was the black water. So he found both. So he's covered in feces, wanted to give everybody a hug. So and he wasn't happy about that either. So he kept the sense of humor, trying to spread the experience with everybody. Another time when we were in Weyburn, sorry, I got lots of stories and I've been warned I'm not supposed to tell them all, so I got to be careful. Murray was, we were in Estevan for whatever reason, I'm not sure, maybe it was a baseball thing or something else, I'm not sure. But we were riding our bikes back from Estevan back to Weyburn. And Murray was on his brother's bike because he didn't have one, I think it was Kent's. And so the headlight burnt out and it's dark. And I was just like, well, leave the bike here, jump on the back, let's go. Not a chance. My brother's gonna kill me if I leave this bike sitting here and we gotta come back tomorrow and get it. So we rode back in the dark and we shared a headlight. He just rode down the edge of the road right behind me like this so that he still had some headlight. And it was interesting because when we got to the city, he's got to ride around town with no headlight. He was terrified. Some hunting stories that I'm not supposed to share, but there is one that was really good. So I seen Murray. I was hunting. Oh, it's good. Murray just kind of being nonchalant, not really wanting to talk about it. Well, it was the last day. Did you get your deer? Did you fill your tag? Oh yeah. Where is it? Yeah, it's in the truck. He's being evasive. I said, well, let's see. What did you get a buck? What'd you get? He opens the tailgate and I'm like, Murray, it's still got spots. Like it was young, but it was the last afternoon, the last day. And he says, you can barely see the spots. So anyway, so he got his gear, he got his tag. So the better hunting story was, because you're out all over the place. Saskatchewan hunting's not like out here. You just go through tree bluffs, so one person would go down the middle and then they'll flush out the deer, and then people, the other two guys or however many was there would go around the sides. We got to a farm and thought we come out of this bluff of trees and there's this farm. So anyways, we came home with the table and chairs. No deer. So they're beautiful. You remember that table and chairs? You guys had them for years. Yeah. So anyways, got lots of stories about Murray because I met Murray in grade 11. The guy that I just wrote the story, I'm pretty sure that's how I met Murray. So, and then moving up to Calgary, almost the same time. So things continued on, and that was that shit-eating grin because he's thinking, I'm sure, of something. I never like to say goodbye, but today I guess we have to say goodbye.
It's just big, tight, big. It's not a lot of pages.
We're all older.
Yes. Well, I don't know how to go after Kelly, but to add to the table that you got, when we got that Bambi with the spots, we were driving down the highway and there was a great big furniture box on the side of the road. So we stopped, of course, to check it out, and it was a rocking chair. It was brand new. I think Rob still has it. You took it when you moved out. You said you wanted the rocking chair.
I don't know.
You don't have it. Okay, well, it was profitable. Maybe not getting deer, but furniture was a good way to go. So I have a few short stories about Murray, and they kind of coincide a little bit with what the boys said. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Rob and Casey's mom and Murray's first ex-wife. So a few days after Murray passed away, I put a post on our high school reunion page, and there were many comments. And I got this one from his friend Joel. Joel wrote, "I always liked Murray. We played a lot of sports at St. Dominic, floor hockey, flag football, and baseball. We won the city championships in all three sports. He was a great teammate and an even better friend." So, talking about baseball, I thought, okay, well, I'll write about baseball. So, Murray played lots of ball in his younger years. And then when we were in our 20s, we had a lot of fun playing slow pitch. Needless to say, Rob and Casey were both started their lives on the ball field. I remember one time when I was catching, I noticed the whole team was looking behind me and laughing. So I turned around, and there was, I'm not going to tell you which one it was, but they were 3 years old, and they had their pants down and facing the whole field and going pee. And I know some of you are thinking, why aren't you supervising your children? Well, Grandma Joe and Grandpa Frank were right behind me in their lawn chairs, encouraging him. We know who that was.
Yeah. I would never do that.
No. And watching Murray play ball was impressive. He could throw the ball from center field to home plate like an arrow. And he had this weird way of running. And his feet used to go ahead of him. And he kind of leaned back as he ran. It was like a cartoon character. But he could run so fast. It was very impressive. So as the boys grew up, the four of us would go to the ball field and play scrub. By the time Casey was in T-ball, he was a pro. He would get up to bat and get into his professional baseball stance with the T-ball in front of him. And he'd hit that ball way out into the field. And while all the other kids were converging on the ball as a group, in T-ball they do, Casey would run the bases and make it to home plate while all the other kids were trying to decide who was going to have the ball. Murray always called him Casey at the bat, which is a poem. For those of you who've never heard it, I'm not going to say the poem. Murray and I both coached the boys in our early years. We would watch baseball together, especially the World Series, when the Blue Jays won in 92 and 93, and they could win again. They could. At one point, we went camping and took our little 10-inch TV, and so we could watch the World Series games. We used rabbit ears on the TV because there was no internet or Wi-Fi back then, imagine. I lost my spot here. Oh, yeah. So when there were no games on, we would play scrub or we would go hiking, or both of which we loved to do, especially as a family. So my next story is about Murray's compassion. When his brother Ken became terminally ill, Murray looked after Ken and eventually took him back to Weyburn, where he and his mom Josephine looked after Ken until he passed away. After Ken's funeral, Murray returned to Calgary, and we stepped in to look after Ken's partner Dale, who was also terminally ill. We moved him into our home until his illness progressed, and Murray arranged for him to go into hospice for his remaining days. Every day after work, Murray stopped in to see Dale until he too passed away. Murray then took on the role of executor for Dale's estate, which was not really in his wheelhouse. Dale had some very colorful family members, and Murray had his hands full keeping them in line. Nonetheless, he took care of it all and was quite happy when it all wrapped up. All of this was extremely hard on Murray, and he would never talk about it. Not long after that, Murray and I separated, and as life goes, things were not always easy, but we made it through with a few scars and regrets. My third story is about us as a blended family. So jumping ahead many years to when the boys were getting married, most of you know we had the weddings or wedding parties at our acreage. At this time, we hadn't had much contact with Murray, mostly through the odd family dinner at Rob and Nick's. I can't remember who came up with the idea, probably Peter, but we decided to invite him out to our place to give us a hand getting the yard ready for the wedding, for Rob and Nick's wedding. We wanted him to be comfortable during the wedding and feel at home. So the weekend before Rob's wedding, Murray came out and we all worked together, shared meals, and became friends again. So by the time Casey got married, Murray just brought his camper out and moved in for a couple of weeks before the wedding. So he would come out and stay every weekend for sure and help us get things ready. At the time, he decided he didn't like the layout of our deck railing boards on our deck, which was quite big. And it took him a whole weekend just to get the boards back in place the way he wanted it. So our deck was perfect when he was done. And he was quite happy with it. So jumping ahead to the following Christmas, Murray joined us for Christmas dinner. Peter's cousin was also there and was a bit of a talker, so I sent Peter and the cousin out into the living room to kind of give us all some breathing space. And the next thing I know, Murray, Rob, and Casey are all carving the turkey. So that's just another opportunity for our families to be blended together. I'm very glad all of you could come today. I know the boys appreciate your love and support. Thanks for listening. Can I keep this? No.
We don't need a running commentary.
I'm Rick. Oh. I don't know if you remember me. I remember you, Casey.
Hey, Rick.
You were in the hospital when my son was born.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I did
The
know
old
that.
Union Hospital. Hi, everybody. Anybody? I don't recognize a lot of people here. Is anyone from Weyburn? Oh, okay. We'll have a chat after. I just seem to see some people that I might remember. Anyway, I'm Rick Hopkins. I'm a longtime friend of Murray's. Member of the South Hill Gang. So that's when I met Murray. We were south of the tracks, and the thing about the people that were south of the tracks, in Saskatchewan, is a huge hill, man. When we were riding our bikes, only the South Hill Gang members could get up the hill. Any other friends, they'd never come visit, ever. They'd always have to ride down the hill. So Murray and I grew up tough and good friends. But I never met Murray until high school, I believe, probably through friends. And we spent a lot of time after that, mostly before we got to Calgary and things got kind of separated. And I moved to other places in Alberta and
haven't seen Murray for quite a while. Actually, I kind of regret because recently a friend of ours, Sherry and I, had told us that Murray was in Bucerius, and we spend our winters in Bucerius too. And I'm really sorry that we weren't able to hook up, but things being things, and I recognized a lot of the pictures of Murray from the Bay of Banderas there, and I really regret not having been able to get reacquainted with Murray. He was a great guy. But just a few things. I know Pat, wanted some stories. There's lots of stories. There's a few that come to my mind. And so we did a lot of camping. We played a little baseball with Murray and Pat too. And that was a lot of fun. One of the things that we used to like to do is go to the Fillmore Beer Fest in the fall. So besides being campers, we like to go to the beer fest. It was a good festive time in a little town in Saskatchewan. It was about an hour away, and you could kind of let your hair down, and we had a lot of fun. But to save costs, we didn't stay in hotels. We camped, of course. Back then we had tents, and I know that Murray had a beautiful canvas tent, and but it was unfortunately we probably could have set up the tent before the beer fest, but we didn't. So it was in the dark, and lo and behold, middle of the night, I could hear the wind buffeting the tent, and the rain was coming down, and like you said, Rob, it was cold rain because it's in Saskatchewan. And so I remember crawling out of the tent in the morning, and it was about a 7-foot tent, I think Murray had. And at that point, it was like 2 feet high. And there was nobody stirring in the tent, which is beyond belief. There's a little puddle of water on top of it. And anyway, we got through it. Lots of fun camping, fishing, playing ball, and that's really about all I can say. Memories not too good from back in those days, but
it was the wrong yard. We were supposed to go in Bruce.
Was Murray at the Radville Rodeo?
You missed the
Oh,
yard.
well, we got to tell about that then. Thanks for the reminder. So again, we're at the Radville Rodeo, which is again about an hour away from Weyburn. And well, the good people of Radville put on a pretty good show. And so we're late at night going back to pitch our tent. A few of us had tents. I had an RV, and anyway, we're one of the group had a sister that lived there, and so we're following Bruce to the sister's place, and we're all gonna pitch our tents in the backyard and stay there. I was in the driveway in the backyard, and it was one of those beautiful days in the morning when you wake up and you're just dry. Like, of course, you never planned ahead, never brought water or anything like that, and so I remember Bruce banging on the side of my van. We gotta go. And apparently we set up a pitch tent in the wrong backyard, and there was people looking up. We're drinking out of the hose. You know? Who are these people? Anyway, Bruce didn't realize until the sun had come up that, oh, this isn't the right place. Banging on the side of it. And then I can remember Main Street in Radville, so we're probably all the same shape, going to the pancake breakfast, and we don't care for pancakes, we just want something to drink. And they had little glasses of orange juice about that big. That's about all you got. Anyway, yeah, we had lots of fun like that. Countless times fishing and camping, and each one's got its own story, but I won't bore you with all the details. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm the middle child of 7. It was always hectic in the house. I remember everybody's always looking for attention. We'd be sitting down watching it, Sullivan. Murray and Kenny would run around, come and stand right in front of the TV, turn back, and pull their pants down. They got attention. Dad was yelling out of the chairs. Quite hectic. Then Robert was telling about how Murray kept telling the story. He must have told me 4 times. He thought it was the funniest story he's ever told. He had a really good arm, and he didn't always throw around people when they were on the bases. He'd sit out in left field, and there'd be a runner on second base. The ball would hit Bill. I guess he'd be in the field, and the ball sort of hit him, and he'd field it. Runner would stop at second. So Murray would be sit out there in the field, he'd throw the ball in here, catch it, throw a little higher, catch it. And the runner at second is getting so impatient, he just wants to take third so bad. He did about 4 times, and finally, Melchior Van Betju decided to run. Murray hit him right in the head, just before he got to third base. He used to laugh because he didn't like Mel, because Mel grew up privileged, and we were so-so. So.
Hello, I'm Jen Blackmore. I'm short also. I had the privilege of working with Murray at ATCO. So I came back from a maternity leave, and I'm from Edmonton, and I was told, oh, you're going to be leading a team in Calgary. And so Murray's like, who are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm Jen. I'm going to be your new leader. And Colleen was on my team. And the department had outsourced facilities management. So I come to Calgary, and Murray's like, well, I'll take you around and I'll introduce you to a bunch of the guys. So I met Chris, and I knew Ken, and he took me around, took me to meet the teams. And so I was like, great. So met a bunch of people, and Murray was really welcoming, and I was new to O&M, and so I was like, I don't really know O&M, but I know facilities, and we'll have a good time. And he's like, okay, sure. So I go to Edmonton, and we had a summer student. So I called him and I said, Murray, I really need your help with the summer student. We have to fix a bunch of phone numbers. And he's like, I'm not going to help her. And I'm like, excuse me? And he's like, I'm not going to do it. And I said, you're going to do it, and you're going to put a smile on your face. And I hung up on him. And so a few hours later, he calls me back, and he's like, I thought about what you said, and I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to help her. And I'm like, all right. And so that was the thing about Murray. He could be a grumpy guy. He had the biggest heart. And I absolutely adored him. He took me under his wing, and he taught me so much over the years. And we had so much fun together. And we like to do team building and a lot of different team building events. And one of them was kickball. So we're on the ball diamonds, and we separate into our teams. And when I had learned of Murray's passing, I pulled up some of my pictures from the event, and I zoomed in on one of the pictures. He's on first base, and he's like stance ready, and he's got his serious face. And I sent it to Colleen, and I was like, look at him, like, you know, our novice players here, nobody knows what they're doing, but Murray's all at the ready. And he was so serious. He he had his running shoes ready, and even though it wasn't real baseball, we're playing with a ball that we're kicking. But no, he knew what he was doing. He told everybody the positions they had to play, and he's moving everybody on the field, and you got to get ready in your spots. And he was so gung-ho about it. And then I worked with him for about 5 years before I transferred to Puerto Rico on a project. But even when I was there, he would give me a call and he would check in, see how I was doing, and he talked to me about you boys, and he was so proud of you. And he talked to me about his sister Susan. I've never met you. I don't know where you are, but hi. He talked about you a lot, and all of a sudden, when I was working with him, he started to smile, and it was so weird. It was just like more often he's smiling, and I'm like, what's happening, Murray? And he's like, I met a woman, and I was like, oh. So he had met Shar, and he started talking about her. So I was happy for him, and happy for him in his retirement. Maybe went to go to Mexico. So was happy about meeting him, the times that I had with him, the people that I met through him, and the experiences. And just thank you for having me here today. And it's nice meeting you guys as well.
That's how you go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try and get through this. I had a lot of tears the last little while. I met Murray back in 2017 when I came to facilities, and he took me under his wing. And I'm not an accountant. There he is on the whiteboard. This is what you do, and you do this and this and this and this. And I went, oh, great. And then Murray very much would throw me invoices. Here, pay this. Here, just figure it out. And I'm like, what? And Jen tells me the other day that she actually called him and said, Murray, you can't do that to her. And he's like, well, I just ask for forgiveness later. And I'm like, you have to stop and figure it out. So we very much had a amazing relationship, and it got to be known around ATCO that I was his work wife. And when he retired, I had the pleasure of planning his retirement party, which I saw a lot of you there at. And then we're driving to Edmonton. Or no, we were going to the Airdrie because we were on Freedom Friday. We invented Freedom Fridays. Friday, I'd get into the office, we'd do some stuff. 11 o'clock, come on, let's go. Freedom Friday, we got to get out of here. So grab your lunch. We're going to mostly the maintenance depot where Dawn worked over there because, and we'd go and see Christine up at the, which one was that? Shoot, don't remember. Anyway, we'd go and see Christine, and that was when I first met her, and it was about her sit-stand desk, I believe. And then, so Freedom Fridays were a lot of fun, but Murray could not navigate. I don't know if any of you have experienced this. So we would go to Edmonton, we'd be called to Edmonton, and getting there was no problem. But getting out of Edmonton, do you want me to navigate? Do you want me to pull it up on my Google? And he's like, no, I got this. Are you sure? No, I'm good. So we'd get in the Jeep, which, sidestep here, he made me a footstool because I'm too short. He's like, get in the Jeep, and we're driving out of Edmonton, and he's like, well, maybe you should Google it. I don't know where I'm going. Oh, you want me to fix that for? Okay. So I Google us out of Edmonton, and once we were out of Edmonton, we were fine. But yeah, I was grateful to have the opportunity to work many years with him, and he was such a mentor to me, and he was, one of my best friends, and we hung out a lot. So we recently had the pleasure of going to Bucerias, Daryl and I, and vacationing with him. And man, you think he can't drive. Wait till you're walking around Bucerias and he doesn't know how to get back home. Like, we didn't have a car. So we're hoofing it everywhere. And I'm like, I suck at navigation. That's why I'm married to such a great husband who knows where he's going. And we're cruising around Buenos Aires, and he's showing us and telling us stories like he always does, and he was great. And he's like, oh, well, I think we go this way. And Daryl's like, no. No, we don't go that way. We go this way. No, I think it's over here. Daryl's like, no. He's like, we need to turn here. Really? Yeah. So away we go. Yeah, Daryl got us home. Murray? No, I'm sure we'd still be trying to find our way home to Buenos Aires. Absolutely. But yeah, his navigation was always fun. And the other thing, he always made fun of me. Yeah, right? He always made fun of me. And when we cleaned out Echo Center 1, oh, do you remember that? Oh boy, that was an experience. And I'm sure the guys from Harvard also remember that, Chris and whoever else. But we're cleaning out the floors. That was my job. I had to go around with a bin and collect all the garbage. Can you even imagine? So I went around to all the desks and, oh, they have Puffs Plus. Oh, guess what? I'm going to take that stuff. So took this Puffs Plus, put it in a bin, and he looks at me and goes, what are you doing? I'm like, do you not know that the Kleenex is awful? I'm like, I'm going to take the Puffs Plus. And he's like, he rolls his eyes and he laughs and he's like, whatever. And then a few months later, he's got allergies. He had bad allergies. And he was blowing his nose all the time. I was like, are you sick? No. So he coughing and sputtering behind me because he always sat behind me. And I was like, are you sure you're not sick? No. Go home if you're sick. I don't want to get sick. And I said, you need new Kleenex. No, I don't. This stuff's just fine. I said, no, here, you can have a box of my Puffs Plus. So he changes. A couple days later, oh, I think you're right. I don't think that Kleenex works for you. So, you know, it was the little things and, you know, the coffees and and then Jen, of course, COVID hit and I take transit and ugh. And then Jen's like, no, you will go and you will pick her up. You have a work shoot. You will drive her to the office. So yeah, there was many conversations and, you know, we started our days with meditation. We had a little corner table and chairs, and Katie would know what I'm talking about, but we sat in the corner and Marie and I would start our day with meditation, and that's all good. I always went for a walk at lunch. Came back from lunch one day and, oh, all right, come back to my desk and I sit there and I work away. And then 3:30 rolls around and I hear somebody stirring in the corner and he's like, what time is it? I'm like, it's 3:30. What the heck? I'm like, yeah, you fell asleep. And why didn't you wake me up? Well, you were having a really good sleep. And it's just me and you here, so, you know, it's okay. Well, you should have woke me up. No, if somebody was looking for you, they would have called me. And he's like, oh. And he also played the disappearing act many times. So he'd go, nobody would hear from him. We didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. Everybody was calling me, where's Murray? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not his keeper. I have no idea. And then I get this text one night after work. I'm alive. I have COVID and it sucks. You guys and I said, oh my God, are you okay? Do you need me to come over? Do you need something? No, my son's here. I'm okay. I said, okay, all right, good. As long as you're alive. I said, I'll see you when you get better. But yeah, anyway, those are some short stories, but overall, I'm grateful to have been part of his circle and, you know, become part of his life and, you know, Rock and Casey and the family. And my condolences go to everyone who's here because everybody, you know, is big in a different way or for different reasons. So, thank you.
Yeah, Dad got COVID worse than anybody. He couldn't like feed himself. He couldn't like yeah. But he did drive himself to the hospital, of course.
I'm Susan, Murray's sister. For the last couple of years, Murray, after he sold his house, he lived with me. One night last summer, while watching baseball on TV, Murray asked, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "Not much." He said, "Do you want to go for a pedicure?" I looked at him strangely. He said, "I go all the time in Mexico." So off I went. It was wonderful. I had my toes painted burgundy. His was clear. And we went to Ricky's for turkey lunch. I think what I'll miss most about Murray is hearing his detailed stories about his life. I'm Patricia, Murray's sister, and over the course of 19 years, my mom had 8 babies, and she said, "I never felt better than when I was pregnant." And Murray and I were the youngest. He was 5 years older, and whenever he wasn't out with Ken or chasing, having his playing with all his friends, and he had no shortage of friends on South Hill. He was looking out for me. That's what he said. He told me I was your protector, and I was always looking out for you. I never did have a babysitter, so somebody was looking out for me. But he did that for me my whole life, and so I'm going to tell you about my last. Just to show you that he did do it until the last time I saw him. And I had gone to High River and visited Murray and Susan, and we had some adventures. We went to Elbow Falls, Bright Creek, had ice cream, watched Blue Jays game, shared lots of meals, and just told stories, listened to stories. And fortunately, it was time to go. And true to his character, he grabbed my bags, loaded up the car, and hugged, and I was on my way. When Susan and Murray went back upstairs, there was one of my suitcases was still there, so they raced to their vehicle and flew down Highway 23 to Saskatchewan. And one problem, I hadn't left yet. So I was stopped for coffee, got my stuff all organized, snacks. I got the Blue Jays game on because he got me hooked on the Blue Jays again. And finally I got going. They did have about a 20-minute head start on me. So, I'm going on Highway 23, and Susan tells me that after about half an hour, they figured I was halfway to Regina, and they decided to turn around. And so you'd think, hey, we would met each other. We did meet each other and passed each other because we didn't recognize each other. And eventually, I pulled over, and I don't text and drive, and I saw, oh, call me. And so I called him. Where are you? What do you mean, where am I? Where are you? What's going on? You got your suitcase. Oh, okay. So we figure out, where we are. About 10 minutes later, we left. And, no hard feelings. It was just, he's just looking out for me, loaded up my last suitcase, which I really needed, and was grateful to have. I guess, the best part about that is we got to say goodbye again and have a final hug. And that was my final hug. And he, just want to say he's just been an important part of my life. And I am just grateful to hear all these wonderful stories and meet all the people that loved him as much as I did. Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you everyone who shared and listened. Yeah. I'm sure I've got a cold or something. I'm a bit sick. I'm Pat's son, and just last week I was thinking about my uncle Willie, and I was looking through my emails, and my uncle sent me an email after my grandfather died, and I was really close to my grandfather. He was my best friend, and Willie knew this, and my uncle told me. In this email, he told me that, he gave his sympathies. He said that he saw with his sons how their grandparents had meant so much to them. And he saw, and he had said that, and I think this is true today, he said that even as, the sadness will fade in time and the good memories, all those good things, that's what's going to stay, and that's what counts. And my uncle said that he would do a sweet grass offering for the memory of my grandfather. And William, I'm going to do a sweet grass offering for my grandpa too, for Willie too. I'm going to do one to Willie in the same way that he did it for my grandfather. So that's, Hi everyone, I'm Nick. I'm Mary's daughter-in-law, and I've spent a few days just thinking about the story that I would like to tell about Mary, with my co-conspirator in the back, Jesse. I always like to razz Murray. I would troll him. One time I was trying to get onto his Wi-Fi, and it turned out his password was Rough Riders. And so I told him his security sucked, and I changed the password and wouldn't let him back in. So following that, one day his old dog Magoo, his hair was pretty long, and I don't know, Murray had done something to annoy me. I can't remember what it was, and I said to Jesse, I said, "Hey, let's give Magoo a haircut." And then I don't know if it was Jesse or myself, one of us found a green packet of Kool-Aid. So we decided we shaved Magoo and left his legs long, so it looked like he had little pants on. And then we dyed his hair green, like the pants part green with Kool-Aid. And Murray came home and saw what we'd done to Magoo. He was livid. He was not happy with me. So then I left Jesse there and I went home. And every weekend for a month, he would call and curse me out because he still couldn't get the green Kool-Aid out of his dog. And I remember him telling me not long before we got Angel that Magoo would almost prance down the street with his green pants on, and it used to drive him absolutely crazy. And so he told me he was never leaving one of his dogs alone with me ever again.
And then he was going to move to Mexico, and I got him to sign the paperwork from the city of Calgary, officially signing Angel over. And I just looked at him and I said, maybe not green, maybe pink.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your stories. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Really means a lot to us. Yeah, so the last 1835 tradition we want to share with you is at the end of every birthday meeting, there's cake and coffee. It's always shitty flat cake. Every single time. So that's what we have for you. We have to, it's tradition.
Better keep a bucket close.
Welcome up. There's the folks here have cut some pieces for everybody. So yeah, please join us, grab some coffee, or water or popcorn and some cake. Thank you.
I was very